Welcome back to our second part of estimating opportunity cost of capital, and later on using that to figure out what is productive growth and what is unproductive growth. So first of all, let me give you the background. If this is net income for any firm, that net income can be given to the shareholders, or it can be reinvested for future growth. Now, we could, for example, split it this way and say 50% of net income goes for reinvestment, and then let's say 50% goes to dividends. Or we can split it any other way, but the main thing is that that income will be divided between these two activities. Now, if you use all of your net income for reinvestment, you can expect to grow faster. If you use some of it or none of it to reinvest, then you can expect slower growth. Now, one of the equations that we have in the previous slides, we don't really have to go there, is that the expected growth of new investments is going to be, growth rate is going to be the share of net income put into reinvestment times the actual growth rate of the new investment. So for example, if you take 100% of your net income and put it into new investment, that will be 1 times the growth rate of the new investment. So growth rate actually, we should, instead of the growth rate, we should say return. It's a better return. Return on new investment. So if you invest 100% of your net income into new investment, then you can expect your new growth rate of your company to be 1 times whatever the return of your new investment is. So if your return on new investment is 20%, whatever the new project is, you found some good project that seems to be promising and profitable, and you expect that that project will grow at 20% per year, or will have a return of 20% per year. And if you take all of your net income from the current year and the remaining years in the future, then the company's growth rate is just going to be the same growth rate as that new project, because all of your net income is going into it. But if you say you take just half of your net income, give it to the shareholders, and the other half you put it into new investment, then you can see how the growth rate of your company now is not going to be 20%. It should be half of that 20%, because you only put half of your net income into the new investment. So it's going to be half times 20%, which is return on new investment. So it's going to be 10%. So basically, that's the background that we need to know. Depending on how much of your net income you put into your new investment, the growth rate for the company will be determined by that. It's always the share of your net income put in the new investment times the return on the actual new investment. So that's the background. Now, when we know this background, we can use that to figure out which projects are good and which are bad, meaning which growth is profitable and which growth is not profitable. So in this example, it says, suppose Canadian Tire could cut its dividend payout rate to 75%. So basically, before they were paying 100% of their dividends, 100% of their net income as dividends, which was $6 per share. If they reduce their dividend payout rate to 75%, that means 75% of their net income is now going to be paid as dividends. 25% is going to be invested as new investment, as reinvestment. So if 75% of net income now goes as dividends, dividends are not going to be $6 anymore. They're going to be 75% of that, or $4.50. $4.50. We don't really have to look at these slides right now. We can actually explain what's going on there. So if now dividends are 75% of what they were before, the new dividends, let's call them dividend 1, equals $4.50 per share. Now we estimated last time that RE, opportunity cost of capital for Canadian Tire, is 10% or 0.1. Now what we want to do is, this is a hypothetical scenario, so there is no price in the market, share price in the market for this scenario, because Canadian Tire hasn't done this yet. But what we want to do is, if they do this, we want to try to figure out or predict what the investors or what the market is going to do, at least competitive market. Well, if we use our constant dividend growth model, we could figure that out. So our share price is going to be dividend, which is $4.50 now, divided by RE. We don't have to put the symbol. We actually can use RE, which is 0.1, and then minus growth. Now the question is, what is going to be the growth rate for Canadian Tire now when they reinvest 25% of their net income into new projects, into a new project? Here it says that this new project is going to be, it's going to have a return of 12%. And remember what we did last time. We want to take the return on new project and then multiply it by the share of net income that's actually being put in it. So the share of net income that's being put in it is 25%. So this G must be then 25%, 0.25, times the actual return on the new project if all of the net income was invested in it. So 12%, 0.12. So 25% times 12%. And so we see that, let's see, that number here, that number should be 3%. So if you reinvest 25% of your net income into a project that gives 12% return, the growth for the whole company for the net income is going to be 3%. So we can put that here, 0.03. So this is going to be 4.5 divided by 0.1 minus 0.03, 0.07. And so that's going to give us the expected share price given this scenario. And the expected share price should be $64, if I did everything correctly. $64 per share. Now, do you remember what the share price was before, or what the current share price is? The current share price is $60. So if everything that we did here, that we assumed, is correct, in this scenario, if Canadian Tire invests 25% of their net income into this new project that gives 12% return, their share price, judged by the investors, should jump or go up from $60 to $64. That seems like a good idea. If by doing something you increase your share price, that seems like a good idea. So this says that this is profitable growth. profitable growth. Now, we can also find projects where if they invested 25% of their net income into those projects, it may be that their share price goes down. And we don't really have to do the actual numbers. We can discuss how that scenario would play out. Suppose that they found a project that is not as profitable as this one here, that gives 12% return. Suppose they found a project that gives lower return. Well, if this number becomes lower, let's say 8%, 0.08. So this is a project that has return of 8%, then 0.25 times 0.08 should give us 0.02. We could actually even do the numbers if we pick easy numbers. 0.02. So if Canadian Tire invests 25% of their net income into this project, they can expect their net income or their dividends to grow by 2% per year. We can plug that in here, 2% per year. And then this is going to be 0.08. And then we know that this is not going to be 64 anymore. And if we actually calculate it, it should be less than 60. And I think the actual scenario here with the numbers here is what I have here, 56.25. 56.25. So in this case, you actually reduced your share price if you invest in this project. Now, that intuitively means that it looks like a bad project. Don't do that. Don't grow your company where the investors are going to punish you for that new investment. Now, just the intuition. Why did they punish them, or why would they punish them by lowering their share price or by being willing to pay less for their shares if Canadian Tire decided to invest 25% of their net income into a project that has 8% return on investment? One key number. What is the return on investment on the existing Canadian Tire projects? Or better, what is the opportunity cost of capital for Canadian Tire that we estimated earlier? 10%. So opportunity cost of capital for Canadian Tire for the existing operations is 10%. That means they're getting 10% return on their existing operations. And so if you want to grow your operations, you should invest in something that will have return at least this much or more. Now look at this project. That new project has return of 8%, which is less than the return on the existing operations of Canadian Tire. So basically what you're doing, you're expanding your company into something that's less profitable than what you're currently doing. It's a bad idea. That's why they're going to punish you by lowering your share price. And so in a nutshell, that's it.